What's up everyone, Tommy with Studio Sense here. Hope you're having a great day. Thank you so much for stopping by to check out today's video. I look forward to this time every year. It is my top 10 fall fragrances for men, Designer Edition 2022. So when we come back after this brief intro roll, that and more is coming your way, so stay tuned. Because if you don't stay tuned, who knows what station you might end up on, and then that will be tragic. Whatever happens after that's not my fault because I told you to stay tuned. Welcome back everyone, and welcome to my 25th edition of, actually that's not true, whatever edition it is, Top 10 Fall Fragrances for Men, Designer Edition 2022. I tried to pick and choose my favorite and ones that I feel like really deserve the limelight, and ones specifically that work epically in fall and autumn. By the way, I want to let you guys know I'm going to do this video just a bit differently than I have all other videos. Whenever I hold a bottle up, it confuses the lens and it goes in and out of focus. And I know it's probably annoying for you guys to watch that. It's annoying for me to watch it and to edit it. So I'm not going to hold, I mean, you know that I have all the bottles right here. If you don't, I do. I have them all right here. So I'm not going to hold them up. I'll just use a graphic representation of them and we'll just move on, and that way everything should stay in really good focus. So we'll do it that way. All right, you've waited long enough. Let's go ahead and dive into our top 10 fall fragrances 2022, starting with number 10. Coming in as number 10 is a brand new release for 2022 by Yves Saint Laurent. Didn't get a lot of love. Performance-wise, that's probably the biggest reason because it smells really good. I really enjoy this. If it had excellent performance, I would probably rank it much higher, but it is L'Homme Eau de Parfum by Yves Saint Laurent. It's bitter orange, lavender, cedar, vetiver, oaken barrel, so it's got a very boozy effect. Kind of like if you took bitter orange and you soaked it in whiskey casks and you used that wood in a fragrance, this is what you would come up with. It smells so good. It's very almost syrupy sweet though, but that dries off quite a bit. A great fall scent. Unfortunately, it just doesn't last very long, and that's why it's number 10, L'Homme Eau de Parfum. Coming in as number 9 is a fragrance that has been a favorite of mine for a long time. The entire line is absolutely worth owning. It is a Hugo Boss fragrance in the scent line of fragrances. It is the scent Absolute. Now, Absolute is similar to Private Accord. It's kind of their offshoot in the scent line. It's similar to Private Accord, but it doesn't have that chocolate. Maninka fruit and Mondia root together, along with ginger and vetiver, is a fantastic fragrance for fall. It's one of the best fall fragrances that you can get on a budget. So I highly recommend, if you haven't tried out Hugo Boss The Scent Absolute, go out and get it now or click on the link below and pick it up at a discount. One of my favorite Hugo Boss fragrances for fall, and I'm actually wearing it today. So good. In it has really good performance. It's definitely worth a higher spot, but it's up against some heavy hitters in this list, and that's why it comes in as number 9. Hugo Boss The Scent Absolute. Coming in at number 8 is a fragrance that people I think forget is a fantastic fall fragrance. It's a fragrance by Jean-Paul Gaultier. It's a flanker of Le Male. It is in fact Le Male Le Parfum. It's everything that you enjoy about Le Male except a little bit darker and add vanilla in the base. It is the cold weather version of Le Male, except it's not necessarily cold weather fragrance. It is a fall fragrance. It's a great transitional fragrance. In fact, the fragrance itself represents a transition from Le Male to Le Male Le Parfum. So you've got that very well-known lavender, that pure lavender, which is part of the Le Male scent profile. But in Le Male Le Parfum, you got the additional add of oriental woods and vanilla, and I think iris as well. It's so warmly mature and rich, and it's also a relatively good complement puller for a fall fragrance. And that's why it comes in at number 8, Le Male Le Parfum by Jean-Paul Gaultier. Coming in as number 7 in my top 10 fall fragrances 2022 is a fragrance that I often forget just how much I like it until I get it out again and wear it. It's a fragrance by Rochas, and it is Moustache Eau de Parfum. Moustache Eau de Parfum is not only a really good version of Tuxedo by YSL, it smells very, very similar to Tuxedo, but it happens to be an epic fall scent as well. Did you know that Moustache Eau de Parfum has rose in it? It also has mandarin. It's got, of course, woods like cedar wood. And it also has a good bit of sweet and warm benzoin. Benzoin is like the incense version of vanilla. in a way. It's one of those fragrant notes that you can't get enough of in fragrance, and that's why Moustache Eau de Parfum is so intoxicating and why it makes my list for best fall fragrances as number 7, though I think it does actually warrant a higher spot on the list, maybe next year. But for now, Moustache Eau de Parfum by Rochas, number 7. Coming in as number 6 is a fragrance that's really hard for me to rate because I like it so much. There are times where I don't use it as much though, and I feel like the way that I'm going to use it this year with so many new additions to my fall fragrance rotation that it warrants a spot as number 6. It is a Ralph Lauren fragrance. It is Polo Red Extreme. Polo Red Extreme is basically blood orange, coffee, and ebony woods. What a fantastic note trifecta for all of you coffee lovers out there. I myself absolutely love coffee fragrances. That's why I put Jean Varvatos XX 20th edition heritage, whatever you want to call it, in a list recently because I really like that coffee flavor. Halloween Man X, a great coffee fragrance. Polo Red Extreme, one of the best coffee orangey fragrances that is also very lightly dry and aldehydic as well, which is a nice combination, and it has great performance to boot, and that's why it's number 6 in my top 10 fall fragrances 2022. Now we're down to my top 5 fragrances for fall 2022. Givenchy is making it equally hard in the Gentleman line of fragrances to pick a favorite because they just keep getting better and better. Reserve Privé has been in lists this year that I've done. I really enjoy that one. Unfortunately, it didn't make this list because I've used it so much, I don't want to overuse it. However, one of its brothers did make the list. So coming in as number 5 is Givenchy Gentleman Eau de Toilette Intense, or Gentleman Intense. In addition to the iris, you've got this really spicy basil. You also have very woody cypress, very sharp, almost pungent woody cypress, and then sweet coumarin to bring to the mix, very similar to vanilla. Of course, coumarin is what they extract from tonka bean that gives it its flavor and its smell and its body. And that is a fantastic combination. Really one of the best of the flankers in the Givenchy Gentleman line is Gentleman Intense. Now Privé ranks right up there with it, and they duke it out. I'm going to do a versus one day and pick a winner, but right now coming in as number 5 is Givenchy Gentleman Eau de Toilette Intense. All right guys, taking the number 4 spot in my top 10 fall fragrances is a fragrance that usually you'll see either an influx of them online or you won't find them anywhere. The price will either be jacked up or it will be at a decent price that you can afford. Right now, thankfully, it's the latter. You can actually afford the fragrance, and there are some out there to purchase. It is a Mercedes-Benz fragrance, Mercedes-Benz Club Black. Of course, I had to include this fragrance in this list because it is one of the best vanilla-oriented fragrances. It's a fantastic blend of jasmine, woods, some darker woods, of course, frankincense and vanilla. But there's also ambroxan. There's a good bit of ambroxan in this because it lasts so long. The performance in Mercedes-Benz Club Black is incredible. It is a beast of a fragrance, one of the best fall and winter fragrances in terms of performance. It will always top lists for people that have it and for those of us that can still get it. Hopefully we'll still see a stock of it out there. If it's available, I've linked it so that you can go straight to it and pick it up if you don't have it. It's one of the easiest blind buys that any reviewer can recommend, and that's why it makes number 4 my top fall fragrances 2022. Mercedes-Benz Club Black. All right, guys, we are down to my top 3 fragrances for fall 2022. Coming in as number 3 is a fragrance that is, I like to call it a classic. I think of it as a classic. It's a legendary scent. It's funny, I was looking at an article on, I believe it was iFragrance Official, but it's an article on how to dress and smell like a badass. And I skimmed the article to see what they were recommending. And of course, it's talking about Tom Ford fragrances. I am very surprised that they didn't mention this fragrance because to me and many others, it's like the ultimate fragrance for the badass, at least in the designer arena. Coming in as number 3 is CH Men Privé. Carolina Herrera. Boozy fragrances are best used in the fall season. You can't think of CH Men Privé without thinking of leather because there's plenty of leather in this. There's also plenty of whiskey and plenty of tonka. And such a great combination, a trifecta, whiskey, leather, tonka, and the performance is really good. Some boozy fragrances don't last for very long, but this one is a great fragrance. So whether you're a badass or not, anyone can wear Privé in fall, and people around you will really appreciate it. It's also a really good compliment puller. And that's why Carolina Herrera Privé takes my number 3 spot. All right, guys, taking my number 2 spot of my top fall fragrances 2022 is a fragrance by Versace. It is Versace Eros Flame. I couldn't help but to give it to Flame this year. It is one of the most absolutely versatile fragrances to come to be a flanker of a clubbing fragrance. Of course, Eros is more than just a clubbing fragrance, but that's what it's mostly known for. And you can use Flame as a more powerful version of Eros, but it is so much more intelligent and versatile than just that. For example, did you know that there is a rose note in Flame, similar to Mustache Eau de Parfum? There's rose, there's something called Shanato, which is like a boozy version of bitter orange. But mostly what I love about Eros Flame and why it's number 2, it's got one of the most powerful sillage of any designer fragrance that you can wear. I'll stack it against most things in terms of longevity. It's just really strong and really powerful, and it maintains its body. But that base of sandalwood, vanilla, and tonka bean is just so righteously smooth. Not only is it one of the most powerfully projecting fragrances, it's also one of the best compliment pullers. If you're into compliments and getting compliments, and if you're into having a fragrance that just lasts and lasts, Versace Eros Flame definitely will be one that you want to check out, and that's why it's number 2 in my top fall fragrances of 2022. All right, guys, you've waited long enough. Unveiling my number 1 fragrance, my top pick fragrances for fall 2022 is an Azzaro fragrance. Probably not a shock to anyone. It is the most wanted, and I'm going to hold it up for a second. Camera be damned. I'm quite shocked actually at how many compliments I get with this fragrance. Nothing like what I expected. I like this as much as the very first day that I wore it. Wasn't aware how much of a compliment magnet this really is. So my very first compliment actually was a guy in Best Buy. He was one of the guys that worked there, and he was in a hurry because he was getting information for a customer, and he ran by me and he said, "You smell really good." And I was like, "What?" And poor guy, I made him repeat that, which, you know, it doesn't sound as good when somebody has to repeat a compliment, so don't do that. That was just the beginning of a succession of compliments every time I've worn the Most Wanted. The scent profile is made up of heavy hitting notes like cardamom, there's toffee, there's vanilla, and vetiver. The weight and the density of the fragrance is amazingly heavy with as good of a sillage that you get, with as good of a scent trail that it leaves. It's a perfect fall fragrance simply because it's another beast similar to Eros Flame and Mercedes-Benz Black. And I think just because of the amount of compliments I've gotten wearing this fragrance is why it's my number 1 fall fragrance for 2022. Azzaro's The Most Wanted. Well, guys, that's it for my top 10 fall fragrances, designer edition 2022. If you've got experience with any of these, if you've worn any of these fragrances, let me know what your thoughts are. I'm interested in knowing what your favorite out of these are. Or if I didn't mention your favorite, let me know what your favorite fall fragrance is, or even your fall fragrance list, your top 10 list, or top 7 or top 5 in the comments below as well. Again, thanks so much for stopping by and checking out today's video. As always, thank you so much for your support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow.